Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. On this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now episode 136. Yes, sir, 136 episodes through, and I got action-packed episode planned for you. What a week one. We had an NFL, another great week college football, week two, a lot going on in the tennis world right now. The US Open just ended, NBA, FIBA World Basketball Cup just ended, and so much more. Stay tuned for an action-packed episode 136. Let's hop into it. Let's start out episode 136, how we always do, with our headlines in the NBA. Not too much going on in the NBA right now. Damian Lillard saga, really the only thing that has been going on these past few months of the offseason. I thought there was a very high chance he'd be traded in the month of August. Didn't happen. Month of July, I thought he'd be traded. Didn't happen. And now we're at September. Will he get traded to the Miami Heat? I don't know the answer to that. So that's about for news in the NBA right now. Obviously, FIBA World Cup just ended. I guess you could talk about that. Germany took a dub over Serbia to win the FIBA World Cup. USA places fourth, doesn't medal for the second straight FIBA World Cup. Something to look out for right there. But NBA players across the world are saying, hey, let's go represent USA at the next Olympics. That could be exciting right there. Maybe LeBron James, a farewell at the Olympics for Team USA next summer. Let's move to the NFL. Like I said, we had an action-packed week one. But the main storyline coming out of the NFL in week one is Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles 4 plays in to the new season. This is heartbreaking for the New York Jets, and this is heartbreaking for football fans all across the world. We're going to talk about it a lot during this episode, but I want to talk about Jets, how resilient they were to win that game, Zach Wilson to win that game, throw that good pass to Garrett Wilson. I know he didn't play well. He didn't play well at all, but they won that game, and he did just enough to get them there. And for the Bills, unacceptable. You cannot put up 16 points when you have a top 5 offense, a top 5 team in general. Defense was good, but you're going up against Zach Wilson. Bills need to be a little bit better, in my opinion. What a win that is for the New York Jets. Detroit Lions, they might have had the best win of the week as well, winning by 1 point over the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. Credit that to Kadarius Toney having a few drops that led to a pick 6. Patrick Mahomes played well, but you're without your star tight end and your best player in defense, Chris Jones. But still, great win for Dan Campbell and these Lions right here. Miami Dolphins, they won 36-34 over the Los Angeles Chargers. It's always the same thing that I say about Tua Tagovailoa. Everyone likes to say, oh, he's a great player. Tua can do this, he can do that. All Tua really has to do is get the ball into the hands of his playmakers. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Tyreek Hill. Those are two of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Get the ball into their hands. You're going to win a football game. That's all Tua really is to do. Don't make turnovers. Get the ball into their hands. That's all they did right there. That's why they won the game. So it's not so much of Tua playing great. It's more the playmakers making some plays for him. Tua still has to get the ball there, though. I applaud Tua for that game. Dolphins win that game over the Chargers, 36-34. Bryce Young had an interesting NFL debut. Didn't play so great. I like to talk about fantasy a little bit on here. 8 fantasy points. That's not really what you want to see out of Bryce Young. I saw a little bit of that issue of, obviously, his height being an issue. Can he see perfectly over that offensive line? Don't really know. Bryce Young did not play well in his NFL debut. First the Atlanta Falcons, that's why they lost. For the Falcons side of things, that's a good win for you right there. The Browns, they got a great win over the Cincinnati Bengals, 24-3. Very impressive right there by the Cleveland Browns, win that over the Cincinnati Bengals. I picked that. I said Joe Burrow, not going to do so great if he even plays. He did play. He didn't do great. T. Higgins didn't play well at all. No catches, no targets, no receptions. Jamar Chase couldn't do much without Joe Burrow playing well. So yeah, this Bengals team, if they don't have their money man Joe Burrow on point, I don't see them winning many games because this offense is good with Joe Burrow on. They're absolutely horrendous when Joe Burrow's off. And this defense, same thing. If you can get touchdowns, then maybe the defense will do well. They get breaks, they get this, they get that. Without those breaks, without Joe Burrow scoring touchdowns, this team is about nothing in my opinion. So yeah, a little bit disappointing right there. Cincinnati Bengals, for the Browns side of things, it's a good game for you right there. The Steelers, they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Tough loss for you right there. I thought it'd be a close game. I thought it could be the best game of the week. No. 49ers shut that out of the gate. Mike Tomlin got some things to work on. All hype back Kenny Pickett this offseason. I want to see if he can live up to it during the season. Week 1 had no showing of that, in my opinion. For the Packers, they had a great way to start their season. Jordan Love played amazing. They defeated the Bears, keeping on that legacy of destroying the Bears, even after the Aaron Rodgers era. And they're looking better than the Jets right now. No Aaron Rodgers for the Jets. Jordan Love for the Packers. He played great. I think Jordan Love gets way too much hate just because of the preconceived notion that, oh, he's going to be a bust because he was taken way too early in the draft, way too early in Aaron Rodgers' career for them to be drafting quarterback. I think that's why people are always upset at Jordan Love. I've always liked Jordan Love. I thought he'd be a great quarterback. And this pick is starting to pay off you a little bit right here. The Raiders, they got a good win over the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos trying to be a little too bold. Onside kick of the first play of the game doesn't really work out. They're trying to be a little too much, in my opinion, when you're about nothing. You don't have that many good pieces. You have Russell Wilson, and that's about it. And are we considering Russell Wilson a strong piece? I don't know. Sean Payton got some things to figure out. That's probably for the headlines in the NFL. Let's move to the MLB. An interesting week. Obviously, Matt Olson hits his 51st home run this season, tying the Braves' all-time record. Can he get to 60 for the end of the season? Leave your answer on that in the comments section. But Rangers pitcher Max Scherzer done for the season after an injury. Looks all but certain that the Mets have won this deal for Max Scherzer right now. Max Scherzer, in his last start before this, gave up 7 runs. The guy the Mets got in return from Max Scherzer hit 2 home runs in Double-A that night. Luis Angel Acuna, brother of Ronald Acuna Jr. So, hey, maybe these Mets moves weren't so bad after all. Max Scherzer done for the season. And now for tennis in the U.S. Open, Novak Djokovic puts down the phone against Ben Shelton, wins that match in the semifinals, and destroys Daniil Medvedev in the final of the U.S. Open. GOAT, you could say, 24 Grand Slams, most of all time. That's probably the headlines this week. Now, Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. We had a pretty good week. Last week wasn't perfect, though. Let's go perfect this week on NFL picks. Let's hop into it. First one, Jets versus Cowboys. Zach Wilson, like I said in the headlines, didn't play so great last week, but let's see how he does this week. Breece Hall had a few good runs, still recovering off that ACL injury, almost broke one for about 70-yard touchdown, got stopped short, but still, Breece Hall had some good runs. Dalvin Cook really was their number 1 rusher, played pretty well, and that defense still on fire. But for the Dallas Cowboys, their defense was the best defense the NFL has seen in months, years, whatever it might be. That was an amazing performance. A 40-0 shutout, a block kick touchdown, a shutout. That's impressive to do in the NFL, especially against a team that just made the playoffs last year in the New York Giants. Micah Parsons played great, so many sacks. The defensive line was great, the safeties were great, the special teams was great. Dak Prescott did what he needed to do, even though I think he's holding this team back. Tony Pollard played pretty well, so let's take Dallas Cowboys in a close one over the New York Jets. I love this Jets team, but I like this Cowboys team more. Let's go Cowboys over New York Jets. Dolphins versus Patriots. Dolphins, you can't do what you just did against the Los Angeles Chargers because Bill Belichick's defense is not going to allow Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to get open for that many yards. So you got to improvise. I think they do improvise well in this one. Mac Jones and Ramondre Stevenson, I think they play well, not well enough to get a win. Let's go Dolphins over the Patriots on Sunday. Raiders versus Bills. Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo, what can he do? Because you got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers more. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries, but only had 48 yards. That's what happens when you miss a whole entire training camp and then decide to come back a week before week 1 happens. So let's exclude him from this whole entire equation. Devonta Adams, 9 targets. I want to see Devonta Adams getting over 10 targets every single game in this offense. I want to see this defense doing even better than they did last week. They won this game last week against the Broncos, but I want to see them do even better. I don't think that can happen. I have the Bills winning this one over the Raiders. Josh Allen showed some flashes last week, but 3 interceptions is 3 interceptions. Doesn't do that again this week versus the Raiders. They win this one. Let's go Bills over the Raiders. Ravens versus Bengals. Give me Bengals in this one. I think the Bengals cover after a week 1 loss last week. I think the Bengals, Joe Burrow, finally gets some things going. He's probably super fired up at practice this week saying, hey, Joe Mixon, you got to play better. T. Higgins, you got to play better. Jamar Chase, got to play better. We all have to play better. It's on me. Joe Burrow realized that, in my opinion. Joe Burrow leads the Bengals to a win over Baltimore Ravens. I wasn't so impressed with the Baltimore Ravens, especially without J.K. Dobbins after he tore his Achilles, only winning 25-9 against arguably the worst team in the NFL. Little bit unimpressive, in my opinion, by the Baltimore Ravens. They lose this one to the Cincinnati Bengals. Chiefs versus Jaguars, rematch of last year's AFC divisional title. Can the Chiefs go 0-2 to start their season? I say no. I like the Chiefs in this one over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence played very well last week, and they're still a playoff team, in my opinion, not even playoff caliber. They will make the playoffs, and they have a very high chance to win that division, the AFC South. But give me the Chiefs over the Jaguars in this one. 49ers versus Rams. Kyle Shanahan has always had Sean McVay's number. That continues in this one. I like this Rams squad. I really do. Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, they all played great last week, looking like them Super Bowl selves in 2021, 2022. I just don't see them winning this game. 49ers, my Super Bowl pick. Let's ride out with it. Niners over the Rams. Saints versus Panthers, Monday Night Football. This is the first of 2 Monday Night Football games. I like the Saints in this one. They torch Bryce Young. Demario Davis plays great. Derek Carr plays well. Just waiting for Alvin Kamara to get back from suspension. They still run the ball well. Chris Olave plays well. Let's go Saints over the Panthers, setting Bryce Young to 0-2 on his young NFL career. Browns versus Steelers for the last game on this list. Let's go with the Browns winning this one over the Steelers. They start out 2-0. Steelers started out 0-2. That's scary for you right there if I'm Mike Tomlin saying, hey, my winning streak record in danger now, down 0-2. Kenny Pickett hasn't been so great. We're down 0-2. Got some things to figure out after this week, after you lose to the Browns, in my opinion. For the Browns, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, it's a good win for you right here. That's about Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Leave your thoughts and picks in the comments. Now, top 5. Let's talk a little bit of baseball, everybody. Really, the only baseball you get out of this episode. Obviously, football-led, college football, and NFL. But still, got top 5 MLB teams heading into playoff season, you could call it. Number 5, the Philadelphia Phillies. Philadelphia Phillies, in my opinion, they're tough. They aren't great. They don't have a great record because some of my honorable mentions would have been, say, Seattle Mariners, Blue Jays, and Tampa Bay Rays. Those teams aren't on here. My top 5 starts out with the Philadelphia Phillies because this team made the World Series last year. They're going to have the whole entire city of Philadelphia behind them. I don't think any other team that MLB can say that. Everyone in our city wants us to win. Everyone in our city is a diehard fan. They want us to win outside of the Philadelphia Phillies. You got a great lineup of Kyle Schwarber when he's on fire, like he was in the playoffs last year, Brandon Marsh, Bryce Harper, J.T. Realmuto, and many other guys that I didn't mention. So the Philadelphia Phillies, even a good pitching rotation of Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, a few other guys, they're number 5 for me. Number 4, a team you don't want to see in the playoffs, the Baltimore Orioles. Especially if they get Felix Bautista back. Felix Bautista, their shutdown closer, has been injured. They've kind of been a little bit downhill since then. But today, they got great news. John Means, their former ace, came back for his first start this season. Let's see how they approach that little situation going into playoff. That's an added arm inside rotation. That's just a big booster right there. John Means going over back to the Baltimore Orioles after Tommy John surgery. Number 4, Baltimore Orioles. 3, Houston Astros. Astros, same thing as the Phillies. Don't have the greatest record, but definitely a team you don't want to face in the playoffs. Any round of the playoffs, because they've all been there before. Every player in that squad has been to a World Series, been to a playoff game, done this, been there, done that. Dusty Baker, been there, done that many times. Number 3, Houston Astros. Number 2, Los Angeles Dodgers. They make everybody better. Everybody, they get better. They have so many veterans in this roster. Veterans who are hungry to win a World Series. Lance Lynn, Jason Hayward, other guys that are hungry to win a World Series. Without Julio Urias is going to be tough, but still. 2, Los Angeles Dodgers. And number 1, the Atlanta Braves, everybody. They're the full package. Amazing infield, amazing outfield, great pitching, great defense. What more could you ask out of this team? Nothing. They're number 1, best team in MLB, Atlanta Braves. That's about for top 5 this week. Now, did you know this 6-day note? It's kind of a sad one, or a good one, however you want to take it. The Atlanta Falcons are above 500, 1-0, for the first time since 2017, everybody. It's been 6 years since the Atlanta Falcons have had a winning record, more wins than losses. That's a little bit crazy to me, in my opinion. And only 1-0. Atlanta Falcons above 500 for the first time since 2017. Did you know that? Leave it down in the comments section. That's about for Did You Know this week. Now, my spotlight for this week is on nobody but New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. If you didn't know what happened on Monday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers, say you were running a little bit late, get home, say, 10 minutes after Monday Night Football starts, you're saying, hey, why do I see Zach Wilson on the field right now? That's what I was thinking. I saw the game and I said, whoa, why do I see Zach Wilson in a New York Jets uniform, not preseason, on the field right now? It was because Aaron Rodgers, 3 plays in to his New York Jets career, tears his Achilles. Now, at the time, we didn't know it was torn Achilles. It took him a few seconds to get from the sack. You're saying, regular sack, terrible play by the offensive line. He'll get up. We'll be fine. Maybe recoup next drive. No. That was it. Maybe ever for the Aaron Rodgers New York Jets era. And that's pretty sad. Now, Robert Saleh said today, I don't think Aaron Rodgers will retire. I don't think so. He's not like that. But can he come back 40 years old from a torn Achilles and still be that Aaron Rodgers type of guy? I don't know the answer to that. For Zach Wilson, this is a golden opportunity. Be that number 2 pick, Zach Wilson, that we all want you to be. That I said you could be. That I said, hey, Zach Wilson, your story doesn't have to end like this. You don't have to be a bust. Change your story. Let's see if he can change it, because he's going to get golden opportunity of, if he plays well, 18, 17 started games. Maybe even more if he goes into the playoffs. But for Aaron Rodgers, this was probably the most hype we've seen out of an NFL team, NFL quarterback in years. You get the hard knocks, that builds up even more hype. Just for all to crumble down, you don't see situations like this. The only other situation I could think of that was like that was Gordon Hayward breaking his leg game 1 in a Boston Celtics uniform. Because that team had hype. Gordon Hayward coming off his first All-Star season. They got Kyrie Irving about 2 weeks before. They were going to beat the Cavs that year, make it to the finals. Brad Stevens reunited with Gordon Hayward. And that all crumbled down game 1 as he broke his leg and was out for the season, never was the same player again. I don't want to see that, Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying that on that magnitude, those both situations, different sports, but still, hype dies down quick, especially by injuries, and it's so tough for the New York Jets right now. So that's my spotlight for this week. I'm so interested to see what Aaron Rodgers does. How he responds. Does he want to play again? I don't know. That's about for my spotlight this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, college ball showcase. We had a great week of college football, week 2. You know how we roll. Schoolyard Sports college ball showcase. I gave you my top 25. Then I gave you my hot takes for the week. Last week we went 4-6 in the hot takes. Week before 4-6 as well. So 8-12 in the year. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Shooting pretty good right now in the hot takes. Let's go again with our top 25. Let's hop into it. Number 1, the Michigan Wolverines. Number 2, Florida State Seminoles. Number 3, Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4, Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em. Great win you had against Alabama. Number 5, Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 6, USC Trojans. 7, Notre Dame. 8, Alabama. 9, Oregon. 10, LSU. 11, Penn State. 12, Washington. 13, Tennessee. 14, Ole Miss. Go Rebels. Good win they had over Tulane. 15, Duke. 16, Utah. 17, Colorado. Go Buffs. Deion's building something over there. 18, Oregon State. 19, Oklahoma. 20, Kansas State. 21, North Carolina. 22, Miami. 23, UCLA. 24, Clemson. And 25, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's break it down. This whole entire top 25, starting at number 1, my Michigan Wolverines. Keeping it rolling without Jim Harbaugh. They get another easy win, staying as my number 1. 2, Florida State, same thing, staying as my number 2. Georgia, top 3, all the same as last week. Now, number 4, Texas. What a win that was against Alabama Crimson Tide. Quinn Ewers played great. Steve Sarkisian drew up an absolutely perfect game. And then defense came up what they needed to. Stopped Jalen Milroe. 5 was the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm still a little bit unimpressed with what I've seen of Cal McCord so far. They're going to get a really true test for 2 weeks against Notre Dame on the road. I want to see how they respond to that. They officially named Cal McCord as a starter for the rest of the season. Let's skip over to number 8, Alabama. Like I said, maybe a quarterback switch needs to happen. Jalen Milroe, not doing it, not cutting it. Tommy Reese could go with his guy, Tyler Buckner, or Type Simpson off the bench. But Jalen Milroe really does not look like an Alabama starting quarterback right now, or a quarterback that should be leading a national championship caliber team, if that's what Alabama thinks they are. So Alabama, number 8. Oregon, number 9. They barely got out of Lubbock with a win. A little bit dangerous right there, playing with fire. Oregon, number 9. They were trailing in the fourth quarter of that game to an unranked Texas Tech. 10, LSU, you're staying the same. 12, Washington, Michael Penix Jr., playing like one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and that's no joke right there. 15 is Duke. Duke stayed up in my rankings, moving up a little bit more after their win against Clemson 2 weeks ago. Taking care of business this week versus Lafayette. 17, Colorado. Go Buffs. Another great win you had against Nebraska. And now the world knows, hey, Colorado, they're for real. Over-under on wins before the season was 3.5. They're currently at 2. That might be the lock of the century. 17 was Colorado. 19, Oklahoma. Oklahoma keeping it rolling. Offense playing great. They took down SMU last Saturday. 21, North Carolina. You barely escaped the win over Appalachian State. And that's scary, in my opinion. You have to go to overtime into Appalachian State. Not really something I want to see out of North Carolina. A team that thinks they can be college football playoff, ACC champion type of caliber. You got a great quarterback, Drake May. What do you have outside of that? Defense did not do anything that they did against a team like South Carolina, where they just dominated against South Carolina. They didn't do that against Appalachian State. A little bit concerning. 22, Miami, their ACC rival. They took down Texas A&M. Mario Cristobal, 2-0. Hey, maybe some wheels are starting to roll. Maybe they're getting some fire burning. I want to see what Miami does for the rest of the year. 22, Miami. 25, Iowa would have closed out. I predicted that they would win over Iowa State in that state battle, and they did. That's about for my top 25 this week. Stay tuned for the hot takes and picks coming up next. Now, college ball hot takes. Not so many great games this week like we had in week 2 and week 1. But still, college football. Week 3, hot takes coming up right now. First game might be the best game of the week. Tennessee versus Florida. Joe Milton struggled tremendously in week 2 versus Austin Peay, but I think he can do what he did in week 1 versus Virginia. They win this game, Tennessee over Florida. They dominate the Florida in the Swamp. Tennessee, terrible streak in the Swamp the past few years. They finally get a dub out there over in the Swamp. Tennessee over Florida. North Carolina versus Minnesota. I like North Carolina in this one over Minnesota. Minnesota 2-0. North Carolina 2-0. PJ Flight goes down right here to Mac Brown. His guys, North Carolina over Minnesota. LSU at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, Starkville, Mississippi. Not a good place to play. You got the cowbells ringing. You got everything going over there. You got a great quarterback and Will Rodgers. You got a good coach in Zach Arnett, coaching his first year as a head coach. They won a tough game against Arizona last week. So I think LSU dances around a little bit, Mississippi State. Maybe see a little overtime. Maybe see a little last-minute kick. But LSU does end up winning versus Mississippi State. Very close, in my opinion. Missouri versus Kansas State. Missouri shows who they are, shows their teeth. They upset a top 25 team. I think for one of the first times in the Live Drinkwitz era, Missouri upsets Kansas State. It's a big pick right there. Missouri, Luther Burton could be the best wide receiver in college football. And that's no overreaction right there. Missouri, Live Drinkwitz, they're building something over there. Missouri upsets Kansas State. The biggest upset of this week. Fresno State versus Arizona State. Fresno State gets another good Power 5 win right here. Kenny Dillingham goes over to 1-2 on the season. They win their first game very close. They lost their second game to Oklahoma State. They lose another one right here. Fresno State advances. Yet another win. Fresno State beat a really good Power 5 team in the beginning of the year. First game of the season versus Purdue. They win another one right here over Arizona State. Fresno State, Jed Tedford over Arizona State. In the last hot take of the week, Alabama clobbers and destroys South Florida. And they're playing at South Florida. This is the first time in Nick Saban era, or one of the first times in Nick Saban era, that they're going at a non-conference unranked opponent. Unranked South Florida, they're going over there. This is pretty much just a recruiting pitch, in my opinion, to get those South Florida recruits in South Florida. Obviously, one of the best talent makers in the country. I think that's what Alabama's trying to do right here. They're going over there. They're saying, hey, we're only about 30-point favorites. Let's go over there. Let's beat them 70-0. Maybe they beat them 70-0. I don't know. Alabama destroys USF right here. That's part of the hot takes this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. All right, so we got some news in the MLB this week. It's a Trout on the line, everybody. Mike Trout may just be hitting those phone lines quick for a trade, everybody. He said, or the Angels said, report came out that if Mike Trout wanted to trade, the Angels would be willing to service Mike Trout by letting him be traded. They wouldn't hold him out. They wouldn't do anything. They said, hey, if Mike Trout wants to be traded, which we don't think he does right now, but if he does, hey, we'll be okay with that. We'll figure something out. We'll probably move. That's surprising to me. This is your franchise guy. This is a guy who could have been the greatest trade value of all time if you traded him a few years back, but no, they didn't. Shohei Ohtani, they made that same mistake. So Mike Trout on the line right now. Let's see where he goes. Do you think Mike Trout gets traded? Can we see him go back to Philadelphia, where his roots are, where he grew up a massive Philadelphia Phillies fan? Can we see the Yankees go after him? Can we see Steve Cohen go crazy and get him? Can we see him stay in LA and go to the Los Angeles Dodgers? I don't know if they have the trade value for that, but Mike Trout trade would break the MLB, in my opinion. If they got rid of Trout and Ohtani this offseason, they're setting themselves up for the future. I think that's what you have to do right now. Mike Trout could be traded. They said, hey, he wants to be traded. We're willing to comply with it. Surprising to me. Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, at the buzzer to close out episode 136, I want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings, everybody. Minnesota Vikings, very disappointing in week 1. They had some good offseason pickups, say Byron Murphy Jr., good offseason pickup. Lost Dalvin Cook. Alexander Madison didn't play very well. Byron Murphy Jr. didn't play very well. So this team, a little bit struggling right now, in my opinion, and you're kind of at a dead point because you're saying, hey, Justin Jefferson, this is the best receiver in the game. Great. We don't have him under contract. We're not winning a Super Bowl this season, and we don't have him under contract. Let's start to panic a little bit. Because what if he wants to leave? Do we have to trade him? Do we have to let him walk? Kirk Cousins, done after this season, maybe for his career, maybe for his Minnesota Vikings career. Do you want to bring him back? Do you want to see if you can win a Super Bowl with him? I say no. Do you want to tank this whole season and go for a quarterback like Caleb Williams? I think it might be a little too late to do that. Or a guy like Shedeur Sanders. Or a guy like Drake May. Would these guys, Justin Jefferson, great defense, be okay with that? I don't know. This team has so much potential to be great, in my opinion, to be a Super Bowl caliber team, but it might be the quarterback position that's leading them down. And I said this last offseason. I said, hey, Justin Jefferson, this guy wants championships. He's not going to win a championship with Kirk Cousins as starting quarterback. So maybe tank for a guy like Caleb Williams. Maybe tank for a guy like Shedeur Sanders, Drake May. Would that work? I think Caleb Williams is the most quarterback pro-ready guy I've seen in years, ages. And his father said, hey, if we don't like the team that's number one, we're not going to come out of the NFL draft. We're going to go back to USC. Well, the Vikings, you're going to have Justin Jefferson. You're going to have a good offensive line. You're going to have a playoff caliber team. What if the Vikings tank this entire season, get rid of Kirk Cousins? Then does that make Justin Jefferson happy? Because this team has a lot of unresolved issues right now with the Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins contract disputes. You're saying, hey, Kirk, you're a good option, but there's better out there. But do we really want to let Kirk go and end up getting nothing good out of it? Because what if you don't get a good quarterback? What if you have a decent season, let's say 10-7, and lose first round of the playoffs, and Kirk leaves you? You don't have a high draft pick. You don't have good capital to trade for a quarterback. Then you're an issue right there. Decisions coming up for the Minnesota Vikings right now. I don't know what their plan is. I don't think they know what their plan is. That's about for At the Buzzer this week. Now, the best for last. Question day. This week's question day is, who had the best showing in week 1? My opinion was Dallas Cowboys with a close follow of San Francisco 49ers. Who's your pick with the best performance in week 1? Any team, any player, any coach, you could say. That's my question day right there. That's Top5 Schoolyard Sports with Lane Frank, episode 136. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram, @Schoolyard Sports, for awesome daily news, content updates. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Twitter, @Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on TikTok, @Schoolyard Sports, for more content. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the best sports content in the game. We'll be back next week, episode 137. Stay tuned.